couple of days ago, I had a chat with an actor called Brent Stait. If there's a sci-fi show that you like, the chances are he appeared in it at some point. So please enjoy the chat and enjoy a couple of clips first and see if you can spot our Brent.
I take it you're Colonel O'Neill. Captain Samantha Carter reporting, sir.
But of course you go by Sam.
You don't have to worry, Major. I played with dolls when I was a kid.
G.I. Joe?
Oh, Major Matt Mason.
Oh. Who?
Major Matt Mason, astronaut doll. Do you have that cool little backpack that made him fly?
Let's get started. Colonel?
Thank you. For those of you on your first trip through the gate, you should be prepared for what to expect.
I've practically memorized your report from the first mission. I'd like to think I've been preparing for this all my life.
I think what the Colonel is saying is, have you ever pulled out of a simulated bombing run in an F-16 at 8+ Gs?
Yes.
Well, it's way worse than that.
By the time you get to the other side, you're frozen stiff. Like you've just been through a blizzard. Naked.
That's a result of the compression your molecules undergo during the millisecond required for reconstitution.
Oh, here we go.
Everything is possible for the harbingers of the abyss.
Yes, I understand. But then I understood all along. Ecola.
What about Clutterbuck? Montreal had its rocket. Mystery has its cruise missile. Yeah! Rocket.
The only rocket you guys are meat whistles.
Hang on. Perfecting the art of the pass is John Beebe.
Yeah!
Whose precision and accuracy more than compensate for slowness of foot. The only player...
Hi, Brent. How are you doing?
Good.
Right, having some technical issues, but we've solved them.
Yeah.
First of all, I just want to say thank you so much for giving me your time. I know you're a busy guy, and it's really nice of you. I know that a lot of people that watch my channel love Stargate, so they're going to absolutely go crazy that you're on here and having a chat with us about some of the things you've done over the last few years. Before we get to it, how long have you actually been in the acting?
How long have I been doing this? 44 years, I think. I start, if I add it up correctly, I'm 61, 20. Yeah, about that. 44, 45. I think I went to theater school and I was just turning 8. I was 18 when I went to theater school, I think, 19. And then I got out of there and I went to Stratford for 3 seasons in Ontario, Stratford-on-Avon in Ontario. And did I did an apprenticeship there and then stayed for a couple of seasons after that.
Right.
So that's where I started.
What's Stratford for people who don't know? What's
Stratford is it's I think it's the largest Shakespearean theater in North America. So I think the one in England is bigger. So it's quite a large theater company. A lot of good actors come through there. Colm Feore, I worked with there, and Eric McCormick and David Elliott. I think he's still David Elliott. He was David Smith before, but he was on Jag. Remember that show, Jag?
Yes, I remember Jag. Yeah.
David Elliott Smith. David Elliott. I can't. His changed the name.
David Elliott, but yeah, I loved him in that show.
Yeah, he's good. He's a good actor. It's a nice
clever show. That was. It's a clever show. I know you've appeared in loads and loads of sci-fi over the years, and a lot of the guys that watch this channel, that's what they do to relax. They chill out, they watch sci-fi. Yeah. But what do you do when you want to escape reality and you want to do, you want to turn your brain off?
I watch some sci-fi, but mostly I like Game of Thrones, and I just finished going through Justified. Remember Justified with
Timothy Oliphant? I've just started watching that again.
It's
appeared on Disney recently, so I thought,
what's his name? Goggins, Walton Goggins, is that it? Or he's got a strange first name. Awesome actor, man, so good.
He plays a brilliant villain and everything. He played like a Nazi. He played a very similar character in the Predators movie they did a few years ago.
Oh,
where he was a swastika on his neck and all that nonsense.
Oh yeah, he's a wonderful actor. They're all good. That cast is superb. I heard they're coming back for another season.
they are getting a revival, which is
Yeah,
popular at the
looking
moment.
forward to it. So
Yeah,
yeah, I
and
watched that. Game of Thrones, of course. What else do I like? I really like the what's it called now? Darn it! It's The Last Kingdom. Do you ever see that Last Kingdom?
I've not watched that actually.
Really good. Yeah, it's really good. So I like those. I like this. I like the Viking stuff, and I like a lot of period pieces. But I do watch sci-fi too. Yeah.
Well, I was watching some British period pieces, and then I can imagine you sitting there watching Thingy Abbey, whatever it's called.
Yeah, I love the British shows. I love them. Yeah, watch that a lot.
Well, coming from your acting background, I can kind of understand that it would have an appeal.
So good, the acting's so good.
That's why we make the best villains. That's why we do the best villains. We know we act properly over here. We do everything properly. So, I mean, your IMDb, because I've now had to record this on the phone, I can't look at. But you can remember some of the projects you've done.
Oh yeah, I remember some of them. Some of them they change the names as you go along. So people say, "Oh, I saw you in this," and I'll go, "Oh, I just don't remember that," and then they've just changed the name of it. They do that on occasion.
We get a lot of that over here, actually. It's like films like The Longest Yard with Burt Reynolds.
Yeah.
They came over here and they were like, "Oh, we've just got rid of yards and we've switched to the decimal systems." They went, "Oh, well, people won't understand what that means." And we're like, "Well,
What
no, we remember."
What do they call it?
Mean Machine.
Oh, the Mean Machine.
Yeah,
that would
which
make
made sense. Actually,
I worked with Burt Reynolds.
No, wait. What did you work on Burt Reynolds with?
Yeah, it's one of my favorite shows I ever did. Was Mystery Alaska with Russell Crowe.
No way.
Yeah, Russell Crowe, Hank Azaria, Burt Reynolds, Colm Meaney.
Oh, I love Colm Meaney.
Oh, I love him too. He's great. It was a real thrill to work.
I met him once.
Burt was great. Burt was fun. He loves to tell you stories, and of course, I loved Deliverance a lot. That was my favorite movie growing up. I loved it. So I had a lot of conversations about that movie with him.
I don't remember that. Like Murder Alaska.
It's a hockey movie. It's about a team of hockey players way up north in Alaska, and they end up playing a pond hockey game against the New York Rangers.
I have seen that.
Yeah, it's quite fun.
It was called something different, I think. I'll Google it later and put a little.
I play a character named Holt, who's one of the goaltenders.
Okay.
Yeah, it's fun.
I do love hockey.
Yeah.
Obviously, you're Canadian, so you love hockey.
I grew up playing hockey. Everybody plays hockey.
Who do you follow?
What's that? Who do I follow now? Well, I'm a Manitoba boy, so I have to follow the Jets, right? Because Winnipeg Jets. So I follow them. Yeah. I enjoyed the playoffs this year. Vegas won. That was quite exciting. But yeah, so I'm not a Vancouver fan, though I live in Vancouver. I'm a Jets fan. I was kind of always a Jets fan, and they kind of weren't in the league for a long time. And then when they came back, it was so everybody jumped ship of whatever team you were hoping for. I was a Canuck fan, and then I went back to Winnipeg. So.
Yeah, I was in New York last year, and we went to see a hockey game. We saw the Giants versus, I want to say it was the Maple Leafs, but I can't remember now.
Maple Leafs probably, and the Rangers, New York Rangers.
Oh, it was the Rangers. Sorry, not the Giants. It was the Rangers.
Giants
and the Rangers won. So yes, you're right. I should have remembered that because I've got a Rangers hat now. Because I thought, I've got to support the local team. But yeah, Madison Square Garden.
Did you enjoy it?
I just thought there was I think they changed the rules a couple of years ago. You probably understand this better than I do, but they tried to take out a lot of the fights. But the games,
a lot of that's gone.
Starting too much.
Yeah.
It was like the action, but it's an American thing as well. There's it was just constant adverts. It felt like, but it was a live game. I was like, just play the damn game. But no, I loved it. Being in Madison Square Garden, I was wicked.
It's fun. Yeah.
Oh, it was amazing. But sort of what projects then, other than what we mentioned, have you done of these? Because I know you were in the X-Files. You were in.
I did a few of those. Did Highlander, couple of Highlanders.
I love that.
What else sci-fi? Oh, Outer Limits, a couple of those.
Yeah. I think everybody's been in the Outer Limits, haven't they?
Everybody in Vancouver, anyway. I think everybody's been in it. Yeah, that was a fun one. What else? Stargate Atlantis, Andromeda. Did a
We're
couple
definitely
of
going to talk about those in a minute.
What's that?
Yeah, we're definitely going to talk about those in a minute.
Yeah, okay.
Being a Stargate fan. But what is there any project sort of thing that jump out that really that you
Well,
love doing
Mystery
or
Alaska
something?
one because we shot 3 months on that in Canmore, Alberta, and so we got a pretty good, pretty tight. I'm still friends with those guys. You know, a lot of them: Kevin Durant, Scott Grimes, Russell Crowe, and all those guys. Yeah.
Scott Grimes he's a brilliant actor as well.
Yeah, he's wonderful.
Anything
I've seen him popping up all over the place. He's got a show on right now. What's that thing he's doing with the sci-fi thing? It's kind of
The Orville.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's doing another thing with. I think he's going to appear in Ted as well, the new TV version of Ted.
Oh, are they doing
He's
Ted?
starring. Yeah, he's starring.
Oh, is he? Is he going to be the guy, the main guy?
Yeah, the main guy. I believe so. So I think that'll be great. He was always my favorite character in that. He's just one of those actors you just can't help but like.
Yeah, he's a good actor. Yeah.
There's a scene in the Orville where he plays a practical joke, and there's a robot that's like a emotionless robot character. I don't know if you've seen much of it.
Yeah, like
so he
Data
plays
kind of guy.
Yeah. He plays a practical joke on him. He sticks a load of Mr. Potato Head bits on this guy's head. And he sort of goes, "Oh, it's a practical joke." So the robot was, I'm trying to understand comedy. So he plays a practical joke back on Scott Grimes' character, cuts his leg off in his sleep.
Cuts his leg off in his sleep?
Yeah, he wakes up with one leg. He goes, "That's not a practical joke. You've dismembered me." That's one of the funniest scenes.
They put it back?
They glued it back on, but he wouldn't tell him where he'd hidden it at first. It's not funny. But it's hilarious. One of the best. He's there hopping around on one leg, so I think this isn't funny. It's one of the best scenes in the Orville. It's just
wow.
I don't think he could have. Only he could have pulled it off. I thought it was just fantastic.
Man. Yeah.
So I mean, this is the generic question. It's a boring question. But what made you want to get into the acting career?
Oh,
was it the girls? It was the girls, wasn't it?
No, I think it was. I lived in a very, very small town up in northern Canada. So like 19, I guess I was thinking of what I was going to do in high school, and I just always thought, I like the acting, and then I kind of got hooked on it from watching Welcome Back, Kotter of all shows. You know, do you remember that show?
I don't think we've got that over here. I don't think that was one.
It was a show with oh gosh, what's his name now? Come on, it'll come to me. Anyway, it was a story about a group of kids in high school in New York, and they were all misfits. And oh gosh, come on, John Travolta. Thanks that my wife popped in and gave me the ticket. Watching John Travolta in Welcome Back, Kotter was very, I want to do that. That's what I want to do. I want to be an actor. And I'd never been an actor. I'd never done anything. I was a hockey player all my life. And so, I ended up applying to a couple of theater school stuff. I got in I don't know how I got in. And then I met somebody else there who was ahead of another theater program in Toronto, and which I had happened to apply for but never auditioned for. And I was in Banff School of Fine Arts at the time in summer program, and I met him, and he said, "Well, you can audition from here if you want." So I did, and I got in, and I left for Toronto, and that was that. I haven't been doing it ever since.
That's amazing. And then obviously, I suppose you have to end up in Vancouver at
What's
some
that?
point. You have to end up in Vancouver at some point.
Yeah, geez, I was in Toronto, then I went to Chicago, and then because I was on tour with Stratford, and we went through Chicago, and I liked it, so I went back there, got an agent there. But there was a writer's strike hit, so I basically did odd jobs.
Strike sometimes? Really?
Yes, and they're doing it again now. So that was a long one. That was over a year.
Oh, I don't remember that one.
Yeah, and it was 1987, I think 85 or 87, 86, something like that. So I kind of ran out of money, and I was doing landscaping jobs and whatever else I could do. And then I went back to Toronto, and then from there I came to Vancouver, and then from Vancouver I went to Los Angeles, and then Los Angeles I came back here. So now I'm here.
Amazing.
Yeah.
I just work in social care. Your job's more interesting. So, all right, well, we have to mention Stargate. As you said, you were in SG1, and then later on you were in Stargate Atlantis. But you played Ferretti in the first, and you had one of the best scenes in The Children of God, I have to say, with Sam Carter comes in, and she sits down, and her and O'Neill have a bit of a I don't like. Do you think it's like I don't like women thing? And O'Neill sort of goes, no, I'm cool with women. Scientists I don't like. And you were in one of the best scenes. I've actually cut that scene and put it in a few of my videos over the years.
Oh, really? Wow. You know that?
I'm probably gonna play it again now. What do you remember though from? Because obviously that's when we got SG1 on the small screen. What do you sort of remember from making that? What did
I remember? Well, it was a lot of talk about it, that's for sure. And meeting everybody, and it was the pilot, and Mario Azzopardi was directing it, and there was a lot of excitement about it. I remember that, and got it. And Don Davis was there. Don was a friend of mine, so I knew a couple of guys. I'd worked with Don a few times. I did actually a really cool project with Don called The Monkey House, which is Kurt Vonnegut wrote the short story, and we did a movie or hour special of it. I don't remember what channel it was, who did it, ABC or somebody, I can't remember, tell you the truth. But that was a fun show. And Kurt Vonnegut came to the set, which was crazy. Right. Yeah, it was nuts. He came and he talked to us about the characters and seeing them come to life and everything. I was a big Kurt Vonnegut fan at the time. And that was really cool to meet him and stuff.
Well, Donis Davis is one of the most popular characters within Stargate. When he passed, it was
a great guy, man. A really wonderful person.
Yeah, I mean, there's so many episodes in that he drove that he really was missed. It was a very nice thing that they actually named a starship, a BC 304, in later episodes. They called it the Hammond. Obviously, name it after him.
That's nice.
Which was a nice thing for them to do. Was there a lot of? So you mentioned there's a lot of excitement about the SG1. Was there a feeling that this was something quite big?
Yeah, I was surprised. They didn't really do much with Ferretti. I was surprised they didn't. He didn't have. He wasn't around more. I never really understood or found out why he wasn't around more. No. But it was fun. I enjoyed doing it, and I enjoyed going back. But then, and then I ended up on the other one. Yeah. So it was fun, though. I remember there was a lot of excitement around it when it started in the cast and everything.
I did mention to Brad Wright, I tweet Brad Wright occasionally.
Oh, did you?
I did mention that we were having you on, and I did sort of say, is there anything you want me to ask him? And you were like, I can't think of anything, which isn't surprising. But he did say hello.
Oh, hello.
And I know he watches my videos because occasionally he corrects me.
Oh, does he?
Sometimes watches the videos. Because no, actually, Jamie, you're incorrect in this. I'm like, okay, sorry.
Just a lot of episodes. Holy man! And I've worked since with just about a lot of the actors from the show. I keep working. Michael Shanks and we did Smallville.
All right.
We did the Justice League. I played Dr.
Your
Fate.
character in Smallville was actually quite a big character, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was Dr. Fate.
Yeah.
I think actually I was the first, according to some fans. I don't know. I don't check up on this stuff. I just hear about it. But accordingly, I was the first guy to ever play Dr. Fate outside of animation.
Yeah. So. You mentioned this to me before, and I checked. You were.
There you go.
Because I look into these things. But then, and obviously, so you and James Bond next, really? Because I mean, it's you and Mr. Bronson.
I don't see that happening.
We need a new James Bond. So why not have a Canadian?
Yeah, right.
I can't remember. I don't remember Michael Shanks in Smallville, but I think
he played Hawkman, I believe is the character's name.
So it would have been a Justice.
He was kind of like, we had a really nice relationship. He kind of takes care of my my alter ego guy when I'm not Dr. Fate. I forget the character's name now, but he's got almost schizophrenia. Like the
helmet
drives him mad, right? So when he takes the helmet off, he's all in. Michael's kind of like a surrogate father to him in a way. And so we had a nice relationship with that. It was fun to do.
Oh, cool. When we look back on, I mean, I think one of the things the fans like about SG1 that it did seem that there was a bit of a family. That everyone seemed to get on. I know Michael Shanks then left SG1 for a little while, and he said it was just mainly because he felt the character wasn't really going anywhere, but very quickly realised and came back. What was your sense about how? Because you came in very early on, so
I was in the pilot. I don't think they knew exactly where they were going to go with all the characters at that point. I think they did with probably you know, the main guys. We were like supposed to be reoccurring. There was
Mm.
another guy on there who was kind of a major.
Mm.
What's his name? I haven't seen him in about 25 years. That's why I can't remember. Probably haven't seen him much since then because he got out of the business. But he was a
Mm.
major, and he was kind of the right-hand man of Don's character. But he
Right.
didn't really.
Oh, I know who you
Remember in
mean.
the pilot?
Yeah.
But he left too because he wasn't gonna. He wasn't gonna get used much. You know.
Mm.
So nobody. I don't think they knew exactly where they were going with it at that time.
Yeah, that's normal with the pilot, though, isn't it?
Sure.
They they shake things up after the pilot.
Absolutely. Snowpiercer, I did the TV series Snowpiercer. I had a kind of a reoccurring in it. I played Tunnelman Jakes in it.
Yep.
And they had all kinds of stuff with the pilot. I think they shot one first and then redid it. They redid the whole pilot, changed some characters around, gave parts to other people. Some people came, some people went. You know, that was a fun show too. I liked the cast and crew of that show. It was really a lot of fun. Nice people.
I actually think they should do pilots more often. I don't know. They in a lot of streaming series today, they don't really do pilots anymore. They'll just sort of do 10 episodes.
Yeah.
And I would think that you're kind of stuck with a few mistakes then, though. If there's anything that's not quite right,
yeah, and then you kind of have to weed them out as they go along a little bit, right? Or sometimes
the second
too, it's
season,
like they without the pilot, you can't really tell what the chemistry is going to be like, right?
I think that I know Brad Wright talks a lot about that. He talks about how he watches the characters and he he studies them and then tries to bring some of that character from the actors actually into what he does.
Yeah, that makes sense. Some people really hit off, and some people gel, and some people have nice relationships, some don't. You know. So, I
think if you can bring as much of that through, so that you're acting a bit less. I should imagine that's maybe quite important.
Yeah, well, for sure. Yeah.
But you then came back for Michael in SG1 before you were replaced. Now, I forget his name, but he played Trip in Star Trek Enterprise, and he played the human version of Michael. But you were the Wraith version.
Yeah.
So at this point, were you just basically getting every part that they could dump as much makeup on you as humanly possible?
Seemed like it. Like they called me in for that kind of out of the blue. I think what was supposed to happen was he was supposed to do both parts, but he couldn't end up doing the Wraith part. I think his wife was having a baby or something like that. Yeah, and so they called me and said, "Hey, would you do this?" And I said, "Sure," but I didn't know what was all going on. I kind of came in as like a shooting from the hip kind of run, you know, just gun for hire kind of guy on that one. So yeah, it was fun though. I enjoyed it. It was weird for me because I just come through I just had a surgery on my neck. I had a bone, a fusion on my neck. Yeah, I had been doing a lot of grappling and stuff at the time, and I kind of just wore it out, you know, just from hockey and all that stuff. Anyway, so I had a thing on my neck, right? They put a little titanium plate and a bone graft in my neck, and I was just coming out of. I just had it done a little while and was just in recovery, and the gate offered me the part, so it was the first thing I'd come back, and I was like really stiff. They were great. They were every time they cut, they'd give me a chair, and I'd sit down. I was like, you know, because it was
kind of worked for the characters, isn't it? Because they were not exactly. They were quite stiff anyway. They were not exactly sort of dancers, were they, the Wraith? Yeah. So I think that's fair enough.
I did a show one time called I Still Dream of Jeannie, way long time ago. Remember Dream of Jeannie?
Yeah.
Well, they did one. I was just out of theater school, and me and Jason Shaw, we played these two guys, Tweedledee and Tweedledum, in the show, and we kidnapped Jeannie's kid. And so it was a lot of fun. But just before I was about to shoot the show, I broke my foot, like 2 weeks before. So I iced it and did everything, and I was like, "What am I going to do? I got to tell the guys they're going to fire me." And so I called them up, and they said, "No, we'll just get you a cane. What kind of cane, you know?" And so my character had this cane, and it worked out. It was brilliant. It worked out great, and everybody thought, "I love the choice of the foot. The foot thing was a great choice. Well done, very clever."
Yeah, I did that on purpose.
Wasn't clever at all. It was just I broke my foot.
Yeah. Oh well,
so you get a lot of those happy accidents.
Yeah, we see that a lot in Stargate. I remember one that Michael Shanks had to have his appendix out, so they just wrote it in.
Oh yeah,
he had his appendix out on the series.
That helps. Yeah. Somebody
Why
gets
not?
pregnant. Oh, I'll put it in the show.
Yeah, well,
Fine.
make her pregnant.
Fine.
Why not? It's better than when they try to hide a pregnancy, and all of a sudden they'll start wearing
Oh,
scarves or something, and they'll just do
yeah.
shots where they're sat down a lot and like,
Everything's above
I
that.
think she's
Yeah.
pregnant. Yeah. But no. So, was SGA different? Did because obviously it was quite a different team on there. Did it feel different when you were on Stargate Atlantis rather than SG1, or was it just a job and gone with it?
It didn't feel that different, I mean, the thing is that when you get to work on a show for a long time, you get to know everybody really well.
Mhm.
So when I went, because I started the pilot on SG1, I felt like pretty much came in at the beginning, but then I wasn't on it for a lot. Then I came back for an episode, and it's still, and that felt like, oh, going home, like that was it. But
Yeah.
that other one wasn't my show, right? I was a guest, just doing a guest star or a spot, right? And sometimes that's one of the tougher gigs when you go to a series, is when you're it's great if you're going in and doing the guest star, but if you only have a couple of days, it can be tough. It's one of the harder gigs to do, actually, because you're just in there and you don't feel everybody's vibe, and you don't know everybody. You're just coming in, do your bit and go, right? But it was fun.
Yeah, I imagine that's like at least so my job, I have to flip from place to place. And I imagine it's something that if ever you go into a job, it's just silly little things like, well, you don't know everybody, but you don't know where the coffee machine is, and you don't know where, you sort of feel a bit awkward. And does that must make your job really hard, though? Because then obviously you've got to relax and try to.
Yeah, it is. Can
do
be.
the part.
Yeah. I mean, a lot of shows will make you feel really good, and other shows, they don't make you feel good at all. Well, you feel like an alien in there, and you're like, I just want to do this and get the hell out of here. You have those too, right? But I just did a show, little spot on something about Todd. Did you guys have that over there?
Yeah, we've got that over there. Yeah.
And they were great. Like going into that one and doing my bit, they were fantastic. All the actors were great too, and all the stuff like that. When they do that, it's fantastic. I had one a little while ago with another show, and it was opposite of that. And I won't say the show or anything, but it was awful. It's just not a fun experience,
What do you think?
Get out.
Yeah, what do you think causes that though? Is it like the director down, or is it, what do you think happens sometimes?
Well, I think what happens with that is that when some shows they treat you like a day player, and some shows they teach, and you might be doing the same thing and they treat you like an actor, and that's the difference, really.
Is that a little bit of respect sort of thing, or
a little bit of that. Some don't, some do, and then but that's part of the gigs. It's part of being an actor.
Again, I suppose like normal jobs, because your job isn't normal, but a normal job. If there's pressure, and it only takes one or two people sometimes, if there's a stress, it can affect the whole vibe of the place. I imagine that's probably similar. It only takes one person sometimes. Yeah. And you're walking on eggshells sort of thing.
Yeah.
Well, you are probably, in the sci-fi world at least, most famous for your part on Andromeda. Which you did for 5 seasons, I think.
3, I think. 3.
Oh, is it?
3 seasons.
Only 3.
I did some spots and stuff here and there. Yeah. That was probably my biggest sci-fi gig for sure. Yeah.
Well, you played Rev Bem, who, to say the least, was an interesting character.
Yeah, he was. He was a fun character.
I mean, the species was. Whoever thought that was something wrong with them. Yeah. How much of it do you remember, though?
Of the
sort of the background of the character, what?
Quite a bit. I did, I did a lot of work on kind of that. The tough part was molding that killer instinct stuff into somebody who's spiritual, right? Yeah. Because that was the thing, was he was at odds with himself all the time. Mm-hmm. He was always trying to do what was good and what was right, but fighting his instincts to, maim and eat. So that was quite a bit of fun. So we came up with an idea, that the whole Buddhist philosophy with him, right? Mm-hmm. Like so I did I had done a lot of research on that stuff, and I think I brought a lot of things to it. Like, and if I wanted things, they would definitely go, yeah, that's a great idea, let's do that. So like I wanted a meditation stool in my room, and I wanted a staff as a tool to fight with, as well as
yeah.
because that was a Buddhist weapon, right? And
Yeah.
so we came up with all these kind of things. They were very cooperative as far as ideas that you had when it came to that stuff.
That's
Like you
nice.
said earlier, they kind of took what I had as well, and they were like, they watch you for a while, and then they start, going, hey, let's go this way. You know what I mean? They kind of worked around you. They start to become, aware of what you're doing and incorporate it into the show and stuff.
That's got to be the best way to do
It's-
something like that, is it? Because then it becomes part of you, doesn't it? It's like,
Yeah. I mean, then
character.
Yeah. And so, and also the fighting style, because there was so much makeup. Like it was a
Yeah, I mean, you look like
suit,
it's like a bat or
hands, and there
something,
was
wasn't it? Yeah.
11 pieces on the face and the headpiece and teeth, and it was so much stuff that, to get somebody in there to stunt you, and people didn't like it. Like nobody wanted to do it. Nobody wanted to get the stunt stuff on. We had one guy who did a fall off a building and stuff. They do those kind of things, but they didn't really want to get in. So I just did my own fighting. All the fighting in the show is me doing it. And I worked with a guy who was a Wing Chun guy. We thought, oh, that's great. We'll do a lot of Wing Chun hand stuff because I had all these claws, right? So we had a lot of that ripping.
I remember that. It's a lot of that stuff.
A lot of this stuff and that kind of style was kind of where we're going. Yeah, that was fun.
Yeah. Did you ever get hurt doing that?
Yeah, a couple times. I got caught on fire once.
Well, that's a story.
The character
on fire.
Yeah, the character of Tyr. We're in an episode in I think it's the Rika Maru gets caught on fire. I can't remember. I think that's the one, the ship. And we've got those things, we're putting out the fire. Yeah. And I have a long orange capey roby thing, right? And so they had butane or whatever they were using coming out of jet so they can control it and turn it down and stuff. So I was doing my thing and the cape, I guess, went through the fire and got caught on fire. Well, I was in a fursuit, man. I was on a fursuit. So I don't know if it was fire retardant or not. I could have gone up like a Roman candle, but I didn't. And the character, Tyr, he goes, "You're on fire. You're on fire." What? And I keep turning. He goes, "Fire!"
You think it's a compliment? I must be killing
this. And I couldn't drop and roll because we were on a grate. so
that wouldn't have done anything.
Wouldn't have done any good, I don't think. So anyway, I think somebody grabbed it, put it out, whatever. Just to end caught fire. It was funny. We can do that again. We should use that. And they're like, no, we shouldn't use that. We're not going to use that.
No, but hey, it'll make a great story at some point when you do a video. So I adored Andromeda. Andromeda was one of those TV shows for me that it was. Some people call it like the Star Trek's poor cousin or something like that. Yeah. But I think I liked that about it. There's a TV show that I adore. It's my favorite show ever. It's called Firefly.
Oh, I like that too. Yeah,
Nathan Fillion, and it had a similar sort of vibe to it. That it was sort of like it didn't take itself too seriously.
Didn't have the big blue guy, right? With the blue guy with things on Firefly. Didn't have a blue alien guy.
No, you're thinking about that's not Firefly. Firefly was Nathan Fillion. You're thinking about Farscape.
I
think you're thinking about Farscape.
I went with the actor who played that big blue guy to New Zealand and Australia for a convention when we first started out. He was great. They brought us two there, his show and my show, two kind of alien dudes, right? We had so much fun. It was nice. I liked him. Nice guy.
I would say that's a similar sort of thing. Yeah, that's just Farscape's a similar sort of thing as well. That it knew what it was, sort of thing. Yeah, I love that show as well. I love the Jim Henson stuff in Farscape, and because they had all the puppets and things.
Yeah,
and obviously Ben Browder then left, and Claudia Black then left Farscape and joined SG1 towards the end for the last 2 seasons.
I didn't know that. I didn't see the end. So
give it a look at some point. Basically, Claudia Black just wears leather outfits for 2 seasons.
Oh, nice.
It's worth it for that. But no, Ben Browder is great in it as well. There's a joke because obviously Ben Browder and Michael Shanks, I don't know if you ever noticed, they kind of look similar. So there's a scene where they're stood next to each other, and Claudia Black comes down and goes, she's cracking jokes.
Yeah, I remember that now that they did. Yeah, I do.
And she sort of says, "This is an interesting planet, but it must have quite a shallow gene pool." And they sort of look at each other, sort of like but they look so similar. It's creepy. I mean, I did love Andromeda. I say I'm not going to ask you about this, but I do actually follow Kevin Sorbo on Twitter, and he's got some very interesting opinions.
Yeah,
So
he sure does.
he's very conservative. So I mean,
Yeah.
was he interesting to work with?
Well, I liked him. I mean, I got along well with him, and he was, yeah, he was easy to work with and great guy. And yeah, there was not, as far as I knew or anything, there's not a lot of political stuff. I stay away from all that stuff on sets anyway.
It's probably a
You
good
know,
idea.
it's better, I think, for me anyway. Just I don't get involved in that kind of thing.
No.
If I have opinions about politics or religion or anything like that, it's not about the show. I don't really get too involved. You know.
Good. And people get a bit more angry as they get older sometimes. So maybe an element
Sometimes,
of that. But
yeah,
also
and too, it's just, I mean, whatever his spiritual beliefs and stuff are, I mean, that's his bag. I mean, I think in this day and age with social media, it can be very good for some things, and it can be very dangerous in other things. So I think you have to kind of, and especially with actors, like, you know, I have younger actors that I know who are coming up and doing really well and stuff like that, and they're all over the social media.
Mm.
The older
I think
actors,
you've got to.
yeah, and I'm not, and they keep telling me, you know, you got to get involved, and I go, wow, it's just a lot of stuff to do. I'm just, it's like you got to post, you got to do this, you got to understand the platforms, you got to know who's watching, all that stuff, and I'm just like, wow, you know, I mean, if you're Russell Crowe, you have somebody doing it for you, I think, right?
So, I think a lot of them have people that do it for them.
Yeah, so that's another person that you have on your
list.
Well,
there's stories about there'll be comments on Twitter about going, oh my god, I'm at this thing and it's amazing, and then the actors actually it's something completely different, and they're like, they really need to get their schedules lined up.
I know, yeah.
That's happened a few times.
You want to overlap the timelines.
Yeah, I tell you what, doing this channel, you have to be involved in social media, and you've got to have a thick skin.
Yeah, and that's partly to it. I don't really, like, I'm not on Facebook. I'm not on those things. I'm kind of on Instagram, but I don't really use it. But I like to scroll through and see what people are doing once in a while, you know?
Yeah.
But I don't know. I never really got into it, you know?
I shut it. I just do it for the channel now.
Yeah.
Because I used to have a channel doing, like, talking about mysteries and conspiracies. I love a good story. That's my thing. I love stories.
Yeah.
And so I was talking about these stories, but I would then tear them apart, sort of thing, and say, well, look, this probably isn't true. But unfortunately, I'd get a lot of people and getting very angry at me, calling me a shill and stuff. But one of them actually then started to try to message my wife.
Oh.
And it was that point I went, no, okay, we've got to stop doing this now. So I shut it all down.
Yeah.
How much do you think movie and TV has sort of changed, though, during your career? Because, I mean, you've worked in this, like you said, for 40 years.
Yeah.
Social media and stuff today.
Yeah, it's so much
it's got to be so different.
You know, I don't sound like an old guy, but, well, I kind of am an old guy, but, you know, they don't have dailies anymore. You just watch it right there. When I was doing Smallville, they were editing it as they go, you want to see the scene? I was like, we just shot it. They go, yeah, we got a kind of rough cut. I'm like, what? Yeah. You know, that's insane to me because, you know, you used to have to watch dailies. One time I did a thing called what was it called? Poltergeist. Do you remember that series, Poltergeist?
Oh, Poltergeist, yeah.
I had a great part in that. I really had a lot of fun. I played this guy who was a ex-SEAL commander. And to go into a new realm to find my guys, I eat spiders, these special spiders that have this venom that, you know, I go transcend into a different realm kind of thing, you know, those, you know how they work. What was I doing? Oh, and so we shot it. I had a really, really emotional scene with Martin Cummins and stuff. And we shot the whole thing, and the film with the close-ups, these close-ups got messed up. It somebody opened it or whatever, and it got ruined.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So I came in the next day, and it was like we had shot all day, the scenes and stuff. And so I came in the next day, and they went, Brent, we got to reshoot all your close-ups, just you. And they had built a little thing on the side they could just see the trees behind me. I was like, I thought they were kidding, right? I said, you're joking, right? I got to do just my close-ups on the emotional stuff, right? They said, yeah, we lost all the ECUs or extreme close-ups, or they're calling. And I was like, wow. Okay. So we did it. And I just said, okay, we shot all just the close-ups. of the scene, right? And it worked out fine. It was great, but it's like you don't really have. I don't think you have that problem anymore. I mean,
No,
unless
it's all digital.
digital thing, and I mean, so many things are backed up. If that one goes, that one goes. You know, there's so much. You have that, and you can see it. Like we never had monitors, so you never knew what you really were doing. You didn't really what was going on. You kind of guessed it, right? He was like the director knew what he was doing, and then they got monitors, and I was like, wow, that was the coolest thing in the earth.
Yeah, so you can actually see what's happening in real time, sort of thing,
little
and
things,
react a bit more.
Yeah, what's that?
And react a bit more, I imagine. Then
Yeah,
must
you can
help
go
your
back
process.
and you can go back into the monitor if you want and watch it. We can watch the playback and go, okay, let's try that, or let's try that, whatever you want to do. Or I am not a big playback watcher either. I leave that to the director sometimes because I don't like to see myself like doing it. Some people love it. I don't know. But
do you think it's changed in a positive way though? Of the last thing, I mean, because streaming has probably been the biggest influence.
The biggest thing, yeah. Well, it's I don't know if it's both good. It has good things, it has bad things, right? I mean, you get a lot of product out there, you get to see a lot of stuff. Sometimes the quality is poor because of it.
I think there's a quality over quantity.
Yeah, I would
lot
take
of
that
streaming.
personally. But there's sometimes too, it's even just watching. There's so much stuff to watch, you know? And I don't know. It's also too, it's interesting who's going to control everything now, right? There's so many. That's what's all this writer strike is about, really. Who's controlling all the product? And you know, as an actor, if you're on residuals, they play all over the place. You don't know where they're all playing. You don't know if you're getting paid or not. You know, there's all those kind of things that come with it.
Yeah.
And yeah.
I have an actor friend who does a lot of voiceovers for adverts and things, and he actually said he about 2 or 3 years ago he suddenly got a check for 50 grand, and this was the biggest check he's ever had in his life. He's not famous or anything. He just does voiceover stuff,
right?
And it was just because they'd accidentally forgotten to pay him for this one job, and he didn't even know. So he's got all these residuals, and we're so sorry. It's like a 50 grand check.
Nice. Well, they have people in the union who follow that, right? And do that check on shows and where they're playing and if they're not playing and stuff like that, you know?
Yeah. I imagine you remember saying to me afterwards, I was, what else have they forgotten? I can't pay my mortgage. What else have you forgotten?
That's what makes you think, right? What else am I not getting?
I don't know. That is a big problem with the writers because I know like Netflix and people like this, they don't like releasing the numbers. They don't like telling what the residuals are actually like.
No.
So I can understand that. I said it on one of my channels because if I was in my job and I got like told, right, next week you're getting a 50 quid bonus, but the week after you're only getting 20, I'd be like, why?
Yeah.
And I'd want to know, you know, so I can understand that writers and actors and everybody really in the industry.
Sure. Yeah. And some people are really good at it and some actors are just not good at it. They're just, I just want to act, you know, I just do this. There's that artist temperament in a lot of, you know. But I think too, a lot of people are becoming more savvy with all that stuff as well as actors. You know, they never taught us any of that stuff when I was it was just theater school. They never taught you any of that, how to sell your stuff or any, you know, none of that sort of thing. They do that now. I teach at a school on occasion, and they have courses where they help. They have a girl comes in and say, okay, here's what you should do with your money or whatever you're doing, or you should do this, or here's some helpful hints and stuff. We never had any of that.
I mean, so many actors have been burned over the years. I mean, look at like Nick Cage and people like that. They're just robbed blind.
Sure. And a lot of actors too don't have that business savvy. Some do. Some are great at it, you know. Some just leave it up to their agent or their lawyers or the managers, whatever. And they get
trust the wrong person. Yeah, trust the wrong person. They're just screwed. I know it's happened in sports and stuff over the years as well, hasn't it? It's like when you get artistic people sometimes that just care about the craft.
Well, that's it, right? And too, it's interesting.
So, I mean, so what are you doing now? What sort of projects have you, or what are you looking forward to the future?
Well, yeah, I'm in Vancouver right now. That's where I live, and so you take kind of what's coming down the pike, right? So whatever shows are working on that are going. I just did a few episodes a little while ago of Chesapeake Shores. It's a show that just stopped now, but it was I worked with Treat Williams just like 6 months ago, who passed recently. in a motorcycle accident. And he was a really wonderful guy, man. And that was a great show to work on. Great cast, great crew, just fun. They took you in a heartbeat. Oh, you're new on the show? Come on in. It was like great, you know. Had a couple of friends on the show, and I met Treat, and he was really great. And so that was a fun one. I did, and I'm doing some Hallmark stuff as well, and doing whatever comes up. Really, right now I'm working on a thing. I think I can say this. It's called the Murdaugh Murders. It's about a guy who real life story about a guy who killed his wife and his son, or was accused of that. I think he's gone to prison for it, so I can probably say he.
Allegedly.
Allegedly, that's the word I'm looking for. That's the protector word, allegedly. So I'm doing that, and I'm playing his cousin, and I'm having a fun time for that from South Carolina.
Cool.
Yeah, and I got a couple of things coming out, little things I did, you know.
Well, there's going to be a lot of work in Vancouver at the moment because the Bridge Studio is having a massive revamp, apparently.
Oh, are they?
It's I forget what it's called then, BSM or BMS or something. They've partnered with the guys that own the Bridge Studio, and they're building 60 stages there, apparently.
Nice.
And somebody else has just bought the Vancouver Film Studios.
Wow.
So, yeah,
I know a lot of what's going on here.
Well, because I'm following what's going on with Stargate.
Yeah.
Obviously, I follow it religiously, and we think
they're going to do another season of Stargate, huh? They're getting all the regular guys back, or they're getting new people?
Possibly.
Yeah.
So the rumors are that it will be a revival of SG1, so it'll be that style of show in that sort of format. It looks like we're going to get a movie as well.
Nice.
It's very exciting. And it does look like we're going to be at least getting Amanda Tappin, Michael Shanks, and maybe Richard Dean Anderson for a cameo in the first few things. So the rumor is it'll be like General Samantha Carter,
right?
And Michael Shanks might be the sort of like the civilian leader of the SGC now.
Nice.
So
maybe I'll get a cameo or something.
Well, that's what I say. If you could come back, would you come back as Ferretti or Michael?
Ferretti.
Yeah, I thought that was easy.
I think Ferretti. Yeah.
And you could though, couldn't you? You could just be. That would be so easy for you to just appear. So I'll mention it.
Be a merc somewhere.
Oh, that's see how cool would that be?
Yeah.
It's going to be interesting.
Black
but there is
merc.
Yeah. Oh, that's a Black Ops merc. Already taking it dark. I like it. But there is a big rumor actually that it might be filmed at Vancouver.
Oh.
But it might go home.
That'd be good for it. Yeah.
So there you go. And you're local. So
that's right.
We'll immediately start a campaign to get you back on bring back Ferretti.
Ferretti back from wherever he went. I don't know where he went.
He must have gone on one of the other teams that we never saw. So
I don't know what happened to him.
Or maybe after Kowalski's mate died, maybe maybe it broke him. I don't know. But maybe we should find out. It's one of the big questions we need answering when they bring back.
What's Chris doing these days?
There's a big rumor that he's going to be doing the new Warhammer series.
Oh, really?
So he does the voice for the cartoon. No, God of War. Sorry, not Warhammer. That's so the God of War series. He does the voice, and they body show him for the game, God of War. And there's a series. Amazon have bought a series, and there's a big rumor that Chris Judge is going to be doing that.
Nice.
So fingers crossed. That's what the fans want. There's been a big campaign to try and get him.
Nice.
So I mean, that'd be very, very cool. It's whether it happens or not, because obviously, in the woke culture that we've got at the moment, there's been some gender swapping in TV shows and things like that, and people have started to get a bit angry about it. So the God of War character is a white Nordic character. So having Christopher Judge. But the thing is, because he does the voice and it's so popular in the game, the fans are desperate for him to do it. So that kind of does take away the bigots' wind out of their sails a little bit.
Yeah.
But hey, we're gonna have a Canadian James Bond, Brent.
So
why not? Why not Christopher Judge as the God of War character? So why not?
That would be sacrilegious to have a Canadian James Bond. He's got to be British, right?
Yeah, well, we had a Scottish one, so why not?
That's true. Yeah.
Brent, thank you so much for your time. It's really been an absolute blast. I I would keep it under an hour for you. So
Nice.
and I've
Yeah,
managed to do it for you.
Peter had to clear some of the cobwebs out there. It's been a while since I talked about this stuff, so
Yeah.
it's fun.
Well, I mean,
I'm glad.
we'd love to get you back at some point if ever you've
Yeah.
got time. I'd love actually if the guys watching this video, if you've got any questions for Brent and you want to stick them in the comments, I'll keep track, and if we can get Brent back, we will ask them you, because I'm an idiot and I can never think of anything to ask. I mean, afterwards I'll think of loads of stuff.
Lots of stuff.
like going for a job interview and on the way home you go, oh, I should have said that. But never mind. But no, seriously, Brent, thank you so much. And
nice being here.
I know everyone's going to go crazy. So
Okay.
thank you.